Welcome to Mad Dog's After Show. You're along for the ride with the Mad Dog and Cole the Desert Rat Barrel.
Rather be lucky than perfect.
I decided to fly through the air and live in the sunlight and enjoy life as much as I could, and that's just what I'm doing.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay
Man, there we go again, kicking off with the incredible, inspiring words from the unbelievable Mr. Evil Knievel, flying through the air, living in the sunlight, and enjoying life.
You know, living in the sunlight, it's not possible without a few very important people. That,
sure.
Of course, being our first responders and our brave men and women of our armed forces. Let us go enjoy the sunlight. Let us go fly through the air. Always got our backs. Keep us free on our home court. And we could not go and should not go any farther in this podcast without thanking those brave men and women of our first responders, of our armed forces, and of course, their families that surround them.
Yep, absolutely. And a special heartfelt shout out to all of those families that gave all the families of the MIA, KIA. We appreciate you all. While we're appreciating people, be sure and get over and check out Assault Industries, Assault UTV. You can find them, Assault.com. Of course, Kicker Performance Audio. Find them, kicker.com. Bomber Eyewear, Bomber Safety Eyewear, Bomber Floating Eyewear. Find them, bombereyewear.com. Of course, Hey Keeks Marketing. Find her at heykeeks.com. And Shutter and Whirl Media. Find her on Instagram at Shutter and Whirl. Go to the bio and click on the website because it's really long and I don't want to say the whole thing. So, man, what a week, dude. I know this is going to be a couple weeks post race, but dude, you had an exciting weekend last weekend.
I did. Back to the desert. Finally. It had been a minute. It had been actually far too long. So yeah, I was essentially counting down the months, weeks, days, hours, minutes, seconds until I could be out there with my friends doing what we love. And yeah, let's just jump right into it, huh?
Yeah. So let's share, in case you missed the announcement a couple of episodes ago. Cole has taken on, as well as multiple other things, including babysitting me on these podcasts and making sure I behave. He has taken on the crew chief role of a 1600 car, which is a Volkswagen powered rail type desert racing buggy.
Oh man, you just explained it so much better than I've been able to explain it to anybody who doesn't know. So first of all, congratulations on that. Yeah.
Thanks.
1600 buggy, like you said, it's a 1600 cc single carb. Got to use torsion bar fronts and rears, just like your Volkswagen would be. It is a rail type frame. You can have one or two seats. The trade-off being with a two-seater, you get a little bit bigger restrictor plate, a little more airflow. So I think there's a bit of strategy that goes into that. But yeah, first and foremost, starting with the 1608 team, my lifelong friend, Lance Gross. We're finally taking the desert on four wheels. He's the guy I've known all my life, or I should say I've known him all of his life. A couple years younger than me, and our families go back well into the 80s, back in the golden era. But you know, just first and foremost, man, we kind of laughed about it afterwards, jumping way ahead, but it's like we knew that someday we'd be out in the desert racing cars. We just didn't know where, didn't know when, and certainly didn't know how that was going to happen. So this whole program, this particular program came together extremely quick. In my recollection, yeah, go ahead.
That was my next question, was how did all this come about? So Good leading. Great segue.
Takeaway. Yeah, not a sponsor. Maybe we should call them later.
Right.
So yeah, what's interesting about this, and not trying to air someone else's laundry, but essentially that there's an idea to go desert racing that's essentially still in process. Just like any race, any series on Earth, it's a lot more work than initially thought, and a lot more money. So, not to discount this car, but essentially what this 1608 chassis is it's the plan before the plan. It's the plan. It's the way to go racing while we get ready to go racing. So, yeah, this whole program came
I love
together
it.
pretty quick. We were essentially ready to go to the first round here in January. And then Lance, the man who's the man behind the whole program, he said, let's go do the Desert Championships in December. And it was like, I felt kind of caught off guard, but it was like, all right, well, there's in and there's all in, and I'm all in on this on this new adventure. So we're all in. So couple weeks, I mean, I got to see the car in person 2 times, and I kind of took my notes, and I took 6 million photos, and I just and I'm glad I got to see interact with the car twice before the race. But it was essentially go front to back on the car and just learn everything you could about it, without there being a problem. And yeah, so away we went. Looking back, once again, I'm kind of jumping around, but it'll all make sense here in a minute. The first race was going to be the first race next year. And so now, hindsight, now that's done and dusted, I'm so overly joyful that we were able to put this program together to do the last race of the 25 season, as opposed to having the first race be our first race, if that makes any sort of sense.
Yeah.
So, took it as a shakedown. And Lance and I really didn't have these conversations because it's at the end of the day, it's for fun and it's really not important. But I guess we didn't really know what our essential goals were besides go sign up and run the car. Quickly learned that M.O.R.E has a 100%, not 100%, has a 100% guaranteed payback if you finish all the laps. And I go, great. Well, that's immediately our objective, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we want to finish all the laps. They don't want to scrape our race car off the race course, and we want to get some money back. So yeah, that's a beautiful objective to have. So I'm actually just kind of poking around on the website here, just kind of reminding myself of some of the things that they were offering. But in our class alone, which was certainly the biggest class, both turnout wise and financially, Weddle, for our buggy friends out there, world famous transaxle transmission builders, they called it the Weddle Sweet 16 Shootout. 15 cars, 20 grand prize purse. 20 cars, 25 grand prize purse. 30
Wow.
cars, 40 grand. All 1600s who finish get payback, product prizes for top 10 finishers. So wow, that's a pretty great objective to start the race. Coming from the bike
Sure.
side of things, where you sign up and you go home, and maybe there's a plastic trophy in between, but other than that, you don't exist. So it's
Right.
so to see this class have so much payback, and not that that's the point of it, but just to have help and support, that's just so
Yeah.
exciting, right?
For sure.
So Lance got to shake the car down basically twice, which thank God he did, because essentially the air filters were falling off on the first go around. So that was a nice thing to find out. His dad has got, let's see, it's 2025. So we're looking at about 45 years experience of off-road racing now in cars and trucks. So there's little things that he even did to the chassis. I mean, he even added a hoop over the exhaust and the air filters that I thought was factory. Just little stuff. He goes, look, if you roll the car over, you're going to lose your air filter. You're going to smash your tri-flow. It's going to be the end of the day. And it's like, that's the Larry stuff we're looking for right there. Just that knowledge to add, one piece of tubing right across the back of the engine bay. So we were essentially as ready as we could be, but there's no testing like racing. So essentially within a financial and time confines, we were ready as we could be, right? So fast forwarding all the way, Lance went out and pre-ran on Friday, and I met him out there Friday evening. He said, basically both courses, and which we'll get into here really quickly, both courses are very tough. One was not necessarily better than the other. Both were pretty technical. Both had their high speed stuff, a little bit differing, but he was basically a good attitude, not a great attitude. Race face was on. We rolled in a tech and contingency, which is always scary for a new series, right? Because Lauren,
sure.
I would love to hear your war stories on this, but I can only imagine you're 2 hours into contingency and they say, no, you're supposed to have a blue sticker on the side of your co-driver's helmet, not a red one, whatever, right? There's all this minutia that's going to come bite you in the ass. But luckily we didn't even have that experience. I mean, we had, I would love to. I'm gonna have to re-listen to this a year from now and see if I still feel so joyous about the series. But we had such a good experience in tech and contingency. It was like, the owner of the series, he was right there, and he said, "Hey, welcome, and you picked a great one to start racing with us. And there's a lot of money in your class. And hey, where do you want the transponder? Yeah, right here. Cool. All right. Well, have a good day. I mean, I think I've had more problems in bike tech and contingencies than I've had." In this class, I mean, it is grassroots desert racing, but we still got to have a set of parameters here, right? This is why we're all out here to race under these set of rules. But yeah, man, it was just such a cool experience. We had a 4:40 appointment. We had an appointment for tech and contingency. How nice is that?
Wow,
So
that's crazy.
Yeah, we rolled in right behind one of the Brenthal trucks, and it was like, look at us, we're big time now. It's trophy truck, and then behind, then our 1600 car, and then you got a $1 million trophy truck. You got a $50,000 buggy, and then right behind it, you got a $30,000 Class 11 car, and it's like everybody's here with the same race face and same objectives to go home and have fun. So that was really cool. And the sun was going down, and it was just a beautiful tech and contingency. You weren't sitting out in a hot parking lot outside one of the casinos, and no flack. And I got a t-shirt. Hey, thank you for the t-shirt, Mojave Off-Road Enthusiast. But man, yeah, had absolutely no problems. And then we kind of, ever since it was like, okay, well, we got through tech and contingency. Well, now qualifying's at 7 a.m. So kind of you start getting into that race mode right then and there if you hadn't already been, right? So
yeah.
Got our fire pit going, and got our food going, and got our pits really set up, and just kind of went over some last minute stuff, just sort of nut and bolt check the car real lightly, and just kind of made sure everything was good. But yeah, Saturday, 7 a.m.
Not to interrupt you,
no, please interrupt.
To preface all this so people know, man, this car, literally, this was a short notice deal because he just got this car, a couple of months ago?
And it would be optimistic to say 6 weeks ago. I think it was probably less than.
And it's a car he's never driven before and never raced in before. Don't know when the last time it was raced. So, I mean, just to preface that for everyone, like, you get a brand new car to you that has been raced before, but you don't know when, that you have to make legal for a series, prep it for a race on 3 or 4 weeks notice, and just pray to the racing gods that you're legal for 1, and 2, that you finish, because you're in the desert. I mean, and it's an air-cooled Volkswagen 1600 motor. It's not like you're dealing with an LS, that you could, I have a problem, I have to plug in and see what's up. And it's not like you guys know corner weights and front rear weights, going into it. It's stuff you have to learn, and chassis setup, and getting some kind of chassis setup. I just want people to understand the complexity, because you really simplified the preparation, because you guys are good, obviously, but it's like, people, this was like, for most people, this would be a mental breakdown, grind, stress to get to a test run during a race where there's actually money involved and everything, which is a nice bonus. So, all right. Now, carry on. I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you,
no,
but
I'm actually extremely glad you said that because I left out some major parts. But yeah, just in the shakedown of this car, uh, two big things. It was like, here I am, and I want to ask him so many questions on the shakedown. You know, how did it feel? What do you want to change? Blah 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 blah. And Lance is just a humble dude. He goes, dude, I've never driven one. I think I've probably only driven your Volkswagen. I don't even know what this thing is supposed to feel like. So this could be the fastest car of the group. It could be the slowest. I don't know. That was the theme of the weekend was we
yeah,
don't know. We just don't
right.
know. So, I mean, talk about, you know, a lesson in humble pietism, but but it was real. It was like, hey, we're going down there. Yeah, we know that the car is supposed to have four tires and fuel in it, and other than that, everything else is going to be a learning experience. And like you
Yeah.
said, Lauren, like we don't know what the ratio is on those torsion bars. We don't know how if this car's been crashed. We don't even technically know that the chassis is straight. You know, and I feel that we can besmirch our own people, but man, anytime there's a race car for sale, there's a reason it was for sale, right?
Right.
Whether it was, hey, we're over it, or something much worse happened, right?
Yeah.
But no one has ever said I'm so happy with my life in this race car that I have to sell it. So there's a lot of that going into it too, you know. I mean, you just kind of wonder about stuff. Oh, so in the shakedown, air filters fell off. Found out the fuel cell was leaking, and the company that could even could even give a half a promise of it maybe being on time. Um, they basically said if we crush it the Wednesday before it's going to take us 3 weeks. Wednesday before the race, we'll have this aluminum fuel cell fixed. So obviously, spoiler alert for the fact we went and ran the race, obviously got the fuel cell done, but that was just another thing where it was kind of like
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm sort of sitting here at my desk and I'm like, well, I guess we're going racing, but I don't know because the car owner doesn't know. So it's sort of
Right.
like everything's pushed to the garage door, but you know, where are we going? I don't know. So just
Yeah.
exactly. So just little stuff like this. And then there's some stuff on that car that you can no longer buy that I'm not at this point willing to talk about what's on there. Such a silly thing, but you know, like I'm just
Nope.
trying to hold
I
my
get
cards
it.
close, you know, like there were
Yep.
certain things where it's like, whoa, you can't buy this or these anymore. And why the car builder did this makes amazing sense. And I think we have an advantage just on these things alone. Um,
Right.
so that was a lot too. That was a lot of learning the car. And it's like you know, we're trying. I'm trying to make this not sound 1% more serious than it is because this is for fun. We're doing this for fun. No one's making us do this. The mortgage doesn't get paid whether this car finishes or not. It's like about fun, but you can quickly not have fun if you're not prepared. And the reason
Right.
what I mean by that, and obviously you know, Lauren, is like, hey, let's run scenarios. If we get a flat, what are we gonna do? Where's the jacking points? Which jack are we gonna use? What size are the damn lug nuts on this car? You know, how are the axles held on? You know, we break a torsion bar, are we pulling in? Are we trying to do hot pit? Are we done for the day? You know, there's just all these scenarios that I'm trying to run by, and I'm trying to not freak Lance out, but also my job is to sit and watch the race car go by for 4 hours a day. But there could be a hot 5-10 minutes that I need to know things, right?
Right.
So yeah, jumping back. So to get back in the timeline of things, we were us 16 cars and the 11 cars were the only ones that were qualifying Saturday morning, just because they're the biggest classes. And generally in desert racing, I mean, at this grassroots level, it's much different than qualifying on a loop race, or no, I should say
Right.
on a point-to-point long distance race. You know, there's a lot of strategy in that, where this is a lot more grassroots, where it's like, well, if we start out in the front, that's great, but anything second to 15th, that's pretty much the same to us. We're going to be in dust in front of us, and there's dust behind us. So, once again, we don't know. We don't know the speed of this car compared to everybody else, and so we had unfortunately had one car in our class roll in the second turn in qualifying, but luckily they were able to get the car back together and and got it out there during that day. But I think we qualified 6th or 7th. Nothing, not the slowest, not the fastest. Just finished the 2-mile course. We got a lot of
7th.
racing to go. You know, 7th. Thank you.
Qualified 7th. Yeah.
Qualified 7th. Thank you to my remote friends out here in Havasu for following us all weekend. But yeah, qualified 7th out of 9 that showed up on the line that morning. Cool. Weren't the slowest. And even if we were, that's okay. This is the learning race, but we weren't. So cool.
Right.
We'll take that absolutely for what it's worth. So we had a little bit of a break. They ran a heat in the morning, which was class 9 cars, which is it's similar to a 1600 car, but it's a swing axle for those of you who know what those godforsaken things are. And then, yeah, so 9 cars, 11 cars, and 1300 cars, which in more, that just means sportsmen. Doesn't mean if you have a trophy truck or a helicopter or a tractor, if they don't know where to put you, they put you in the 1300 class. So we had a little bit of time to just kind of listen to radio chatter and, you know, never want to gain an advantage over somebody else's demise. But it's like, hey, this car rolled at mile 4. Hey, Lance, did you hear that? Look out at race mile 4. Hey, these people had a problem at 12. Okay, look out. You know, it's just, it was, like I said, I hate to take an advantage of someone else's demise, but 1, they're not in their class. 2, everybody was okay. But 3, I really think it's part of my job is to be listening to this stuff.
I was just going to say, but it is your job, for sure, to mark that stuff and say, you know, I remember back, you know, even like in the circle track days, you watching other classes practice because you get somebody that oils down.
Oh, right.
And it's like, hey, Mike, don't, you know, when you come out of 2, I know you like to let the car run up, but hold it down because it got oiled down up by the wall coming out of 2, and you're going to wreck, you know?
Yeah.
So it's your responsibility, for sure. And it's smart to be able to listen in and make, you know, in essence, pit notes, right?
For sure, you know, and then there's a balance of that too, Lauren. I'm sure every single thing I'm going to say today, you're going to go, yep, been there, done that, because you have, you know, especially with the circle track life. But I had a point to this. I promise there was a point. But yeah, you know, a lot of it too. I mean, Lance and I have known each other, like I said, all of his life, and
Yeah.
we've raced motorcycles, and he's just on another level than I ever was. But part of that too is we got to learn, how much do you want me to talk to you? How much do you want me to shut the hell up? Because because I don't need my driver thinking about 30 things that he doesn't need to be, and vice versa. He doesn't need me on the radio nonstop when he goes, dude, I know how to drive a car. It's got a wheel, it's got 3 pedals. We'll figure it out, right?
Right.
So this is just part of the learning deal too. And so,
Sure.
yeah. So 7th off the line. Thank you, Lauren, for reminding me of that. A single file start on day 1. Man, I wish there was more to report on day 1, but I'm so happy that there wasn't. Couple people in our class had some issues, and that infamous kickflip video I sent you of Brooke Perfect, and that was one of those sections that we had heard. Hey, you know, race mile 4 in the earlier classes, there was a rollover. So it's like, hey, Lance, watch this, and he goes, yeah, I know exactly where that is. He goes, there's two tracks that cross the other way, and it's in a sharp 100-degree right-hander. He goes, so you have to check up so much more than you think you would. And I go, got it. Your way. Yep. You got it. I will say less. Got it. All right. So yeah, like I said, I wish there was more to report, but I'm also extremely glad that there wasn't. We just ran such clean laps. Lance was kind of like on the clock, you know, I would say within 2 to 3 minutes on this 14-mile loop every lap, and it was great. And so quickly, it was not spoken about, but it was basically like, hey, unless you need something, everybody off the radio.
Yeah.
The driver's going to tell us what he wants to tell us, and if we have a problem, we'll let him know. But other than that, shut up. Basically, you know, what do we need to do out here? And it's a single-seater car, which has its pros and cons. I think more cons than pros, to be honest. So a lot of that too is if I had a co-driver, I could sit here and bark at him the whole time, and then his job is to sit here, filter my information, and tell the driver, well,
and relay it to the driver. Yeah.
And what's relevant, what's important. that guy or lady is in the car and can tell you, can tell me who's sitting in pit road what's actually going on out there. So
Yeah.
because none of that's happening, it was just sort of like, well, everybody shut up, and any issues, let us know. So, I mean, Lance ran a great 4 laps. On his 5th lap, his dad got on the radio and just said, 16:08, you're looking great. Said, thanks. And then 10 miles later, he finished day 1. So started 7th, lost a spot, gained a spot to finish 7th on the first day. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, and his lap times, I mean, when you consider the very first lap that all the 1600s did, and I know you didn't have privy to this, I don't think, but I was watching live timing. What
Okay.
they call it, live timing, but it's one
about a lap
time
behind. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one lap at a time. There's no segmented timing.
Yep.
And the live stream at the same time, which is, limited. I mean, for a grassroots series, they did an okay job. They could use some new announcers, in my opinion, a little more excitable with a little more information about car numbers coming through and stuff.
I see
But
what you did there with the more puns. Very nice.
yeah. But anyway, yeah, no, um he started out, I think if I remember right, he ran a 19 something the first lap, which put him about 3 minutes or 3.5 minutes behind the fast lap, the number 1 car, for the day. And it seemed like he brought it down by maybe a minute. They don't have an actual per lap breakout.
Nope.
But it seemed like he got down around the 18s, still gave up a couple minutes a lap to the fast guys. But 2 things. One, the really fast guys have been racing all year and they're in the championship battle. The first, as I understand it, the first and second place 1600 cars that swapped back and forth all weekend were in the championship points battle also.
Yep.
So,
Correct. Yep.
To be out there in your first run and get up into that mess and have a factor there wouldn't necessarily, I'm not saying hold back, but also if it's your first race with more, you certainly don't want to go in and affect the championship in the last race of the year, right? In my opinion.
No, of course not. No, I mean, can't stress that enough. This was a paid shakedown,
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
payback.
absolutely.
Yeah, paid shakedown on a live race course is the way that I can justify it to myself. And I'm very glad you said that. But and we'll obviously get back to this too. But Sunday, same thing. My dad was watching the live YouTube channel, which, first of all, I never knew this even existed. I don't know if this is the first race they've done it or whatever, but I've been going to more a few years. This is the first time I think you were the one who found it on YouTube, and I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell are you talking about, YouTube? Live announcing, like this is more.
Yeah, I was sending you pictures from the start finish line cam of your car as it was coming through. So I thought that was kind of funny.
I was sitting about a mile back down there on pit road. It was nice to see my guy on TV. That was cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it was cool. But yeah, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, not at all.
No, this about your dad watching it.
Not
Sunday.
at all. No, and this is important to the story too. But if you have a Saturday Sunday race, well, of course everybody wants to have fun in the desert on Saturday, right? So
right.
Point to that being, we had so much help on Saturday. I mean, we had, without listing everybody name by name, I mean, we had roughly about 15 people that could either have a job or could back somebody else up or could go remote pit or whatever. And so what ended up being so fantastic about that, to get this whole point back around, was that my dad and Lance's dad, without nobody talking about anything, they've just been doing this forever, pen and paper, live scoring themselves. Okay, this 1608 got around 1622. Okay, the next car that should come in should be 16:30. Nope. Okay, well, this guy passed this guy. And that was every single lap. So, like you
Yeah.
said, we didn't have the electronic breakout, but here we had electronic scoring, and then we had two guys manually scoring as well, which was amazing. Just to have Larry right there in my ear and go, this car should be next, or Lance should be 3 minutes out because this car just came through race mile 13. That was so incredibly helpful. And obviously we were doing times on our phones, and we generally have an idea of when he's going to come back around, but just this little minute stuff just helps out so much. So to get back into the race, I mean, yeah, we just had really nothing to report on, no issues, no flats, never stopped the car. I mean, I even offered to go, hey, do you want to come in and do a visual after 1 or 2 laps? Because that's about, it's about 30, 40 miles. And personally, I would like to make sure that nothing's falling off the car, but the driver's also the owner. And he said, nope, I don't think we need to. I said, great. I'm not going to argue with you. Yeah. If you're good with it, I'm good with it. So that also led to our lap consistencies. But Saturday was great. We got to watch the big guys go after us. And that's when once the races are done for the day, that's when you can crack a few cold ones and start sharing the war stories and start getting the fire ready for day 2, And so,
Yeah.
we did have to make a quick O'Reilly's run, which, I mean, talk about the difference between racing at the outlets of Barstow compared to racing down in Baja. It's like we could never not see the outlets, and then we had to get on the freeway for 2 exits to go to O'Reilly's to get some stuff.
Right.
So got some stuff at O'Reilly's. We nut bolted the car. Little stuff that we had to fix. There was just like a jam nut on a tie rod that came loose. We undid the kingpins and reset them just because one was a little goofy. And hey, might as well take those jam nuts up, snug them back up, know that we're good. I checked the axles. I looked and I go, well, the skid plate's falling off. So then Lance and I started at the front of the car, worked our way back, and just did every bolt, just took our time. Fire extinguishers are good. Cool. And it was basically, we refueled the car Saturday night. Everything was done. We knew that we were going to check tire pressures again when the air and the sun was a little closer to race time.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was like, shoot, by 3:30 on Saturday, it was like, well, we're done. I mean, if they called us to the line right now, we could go do it. There's nothing else to do but to do it. So, so we had a nice time around the fire pit there, and everybody was cool. And I would like to say that I'm really disappointed, if I'm being honest, because this is my first M.O.R.E race being on a team, and we out partied every other team on pit road. So, I'm not sure if that's just me coming in as the young, unhumble buck or what it was, but I looked around about midnight and I said, well, everybody else is in bed. I guess we'll do the same. So shut it down about midnight on Saturday. And then Sunday was great. We didn't have to do any qualifying. And then once again, there was one earlier class, the 11s and the 9s and the 13s. And then our race time was 9:45 on the South Loop. And so Ned didn't even address this, but for those listening, it was kind of interesting. They had a Saturday course. We'll call it the North Course. It was 14 miles that ran sort of up towards the outlets of Barstow. And for those who know, you started at Maine and kind of work up in the foothills up there. And there's a bunch of radio towers. Well, day 2 started same exact pits, same exact everything. You're not moving your stuff, but now you're running south, and you run south towards, once again, for those who know, like the Apex Kart Track or Bell Mountain, Johnson Valley. You're just heading back this way, which is generally a little smoother, a little faster, a little less hills. And so I remember telling you that day, Lauren, and go, well, I just think this course is going to treat us a little bit better. I think it's a little bit more just hold your foot to the floor and shut your brain off, which we're very good at doing. Well, he's very good at doing. I was never that good at shutting my brain off and let me go fast. But we just kind of had a good feeling, go, this is kind of more of a conventional desert course, and think we're going to be okay. But then I joked about that with you too, Lauren. I go, but everybody else in our class might have the same exact thought. They go, well, the Sunday course is where it's going to be at. So,
well, and just to flash back on Saturday, from my perspective, I had the advantage of watching the live stream and actually being on their website and having to get out and jump back in and get out and jump back in every lap, basically, to see what the overall time was.
Oh, right.
because they don't break it down per lap. Um, there was a little bit of carnage, but to you guys' credit, I mean, you qualified seventh, you started seventh, you finished seventh, which by the class count is just slightly above mid pack. So, I mean, you ran just slightly above mid pack in a brand new car to all of you, and something that your driver had never driven before in a race that you'd never run before.
All true. We can't argue with any of that. So,
Yeah.
you know,
And the course was gnarly. When they were
yeah.
flying the big drone, there's a couple of spots there where they crossed looked like two graded out roads. And man, those were gnarly.
Yeah,
Like
those were day enders for sure.
big drop offs and stuff. So, yeah, it wasn't like just a cakewalk for the driver for sure. Um, One other point that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention, because, we've talked about desert racing a lot, and side by sides and et cetera like that. But in the Saturday race, the side by side started behind the 1600s, which you would expect the Unlimiteds, the turbo cars, and honestly, even the NA cars to eat them up pretty quickly. In my opinion, I
You would
expected
think.
them
Yeah.
to eat them up. And by my calculations, if I remember right, you guys only got passed by a 2900 car, I believe, which is a turbo car or an unlimited car, and one naturally aspirated side by side. So, I mean, that's pretty damn good considering it seemed like the guys running the side by sides were all well known to the announcers. So, obviously, veterans of the series. Um, Man, you can't complain about that, you know?
No, and to be so honest and so fair, I don't think that more necessarily caters to the UTV side of things, and vice versa. I don't
For
think that
sure.
if you're going to go races side by side, I don't think that this would be your first go to. Not saying that all aren't welcome. It's just not, it's just a different, the duh to everybody listening. Just the UTVs are running the world in off road racing right now, right? Right.
Right.
No one can argue that.
No.
So more would not necessarily be something. Now you want to get your feet wet. I can't think of I'm already a believer. I mean, I could have had a better experience in tech and contingency. I go, yeah, it's great, and not too many guys in those UTV classes, but yeah, if you look on Race Desert or get online, which is nice and toxic, the 1600 UTV debate is alive and well still, which is, it's funny to have a car which is called the UTV that's going against trophy trucks, and you have a car that's called the UTV still going against 1600 buggies. It's just
Right.
kind of where we're at in the world. But yeah, man, boy, were those lights bright when I saw that 2900 pass us, man. He had the full
Yeah.
KC roof rack on and the headlights in the bumper barn. I was like, okay, just let him go. He's not in our class, man. We don't,
Right.
and,
Right.
and Lance is by himself. He's, I don't even know if we have a mirror on that car, which I don't think we do. So anyway, just getting totally sidetracked there.
Yeah, mirrors when you're racing, mirrors are for the past.
Well, yeah, because why you want to look back? You're
Yeah,
not moving forward.
that's right. AMF. AMF, and it
Always
doesn't
moving
stand for
forward.
what everybody thinks. It stands for what Cole just said.
Always moving forward.
Amen.
But man,
Preach.
yeah, that Sunday was cool. It was just the fact that they, for whatever reason, they said that they had more room on Sundays, so they started them two at a time as opposed to single file, which didn't make any difference to me. I guess it would be more exciting to watch on the YouTube for sure. But sitting there in the pits and all, it's timed racing, and I'm sorry I'm jumping around so much, but it's just kind of coming to mind. Lauren, I'm a card carrying, I can't even just say NASCAR, but I'm a card carrying stock car fan. I'm a circle track fan. I love all that kind of racing. And I sort of had this weird moment to myself on Sunday. I go, there's obviously strategy to this, but the clock is never stopping. There's no, I'm going to run behind this guy for this many laps and see if he makes a mistake, or our pit strategy to when they're going to come in. It's just so different. We had no planned stops, and the clock doesn't stop. You're out there, quote unquote, by yourself, right? So
Yeah.
it's as much as your body and the car can handle. It's so interesting having my mindset in the circle track racing all last year to where now I had to reteach myself again. Oh, you can pace yourself, but really, like, the clock is who you got to talk. The clock is who you got to answer to, not the other guys in your class, right?
For sure.
So the fact that Lance was just able to run such good laps, even on the Sunday, same thing. I mean, he was between the 18 and the 20-minute time range. Fast forwarding to lap 3, Jack and I, Inglewood Jack was there. My brother, many people call him Sir Jackie. Sir Jackie was running the radios. Yep, that is his world. He was on the PCI race radio there in our camp and had the big tower and stuff. But anyway, the race car was coming in, and this is the important part to finish that Sunday conversation. But Saturday we had 15 to 20 people. Sunday we had 5. So it was like, okay, now we got to figure out our resources here. So it was me in the hot pit, Sir Jackie on the radios in the cold pit, which is the same location as the main pit. Then we had Larry and Sebastian out between race mile 3 and 8, kind of remote pitting. And then we had one other guy sort of on the north end of the course. So that's still a lot of volunteers for a grassroots racing series. But man, to have a third of the people we had on Saturday, that's when it got creative. Like, okay, we need to be really smart about who we have where on the race course and who has what parts and who has what tools. That kind of made it fun. It wasn't everybody going, I want to help. It was like, all right, well, we're kind of screwed, so now let's figure it out. It added a fun layer for me anyway.
Yeah, for sure. I have a question on that.
Absolutely.
So, when you have your guys out like north end of the course and remote pit, are you guys communicating on a different radio channel than your channel with the driver?
We're not, and that's not a brilliant idea. What that is that's just technology and range doing the best we can.
Gotcha.
There was even a point on Sunday where I needed to get to Larry, the owner of the car's dad, to let him know about the issue that we were having. And we could not get our race radio up and over the hills past the race car to Larry. We just didn't have the range. So thank God for technology. I texted Mike the Bull Farrell and I said, hey, text Larry that this is what's going on. So luckily we could still, there's between cell phones and texting and radios, and you're, once again, you're not in Baja, you're not 500 miles from somebody, you're 5 miles from somebody, but we still couldn't beat the physics of hills and mountains and everything. So yeah, so great question, but yeah, we're always in contact, but no, we didn't have a separate channel. We basically had 2 that we're bouncing between, where we wanted always to have one on the race car, of course, especially him being by himself. There's just so many issues you don't want to have to think about, but you got to think about. Yeah. And then also our secondary channel was the M.O.R.E relay. So we could hear what was going on with the other people in the course, any issues coming up, any black flags, anything at all. We knew that the race car and M.O.R.E relays where we needed to be. So of course, if we had a third channel, we would be, could call a code name and go, hey, get off the Lance channel. And then we could, mother truck each other on that line if we wanted to, but no, we did not. And brilliant idea and something to certainly look forward to going into the next one, but just didn't. So, did you have something to say? I heard you breathing in real hard.
Well, no, I just, no, I think it'd be great if you could do that. Certainly understand your dilemma with the radios, and there's not somebody out there with, a 10,000 watt repeater
Yep.
beaming to everything for you, So I get that. The other thing I was going to ask, and maybe this falls into where you're going to go with the situation on lap 3, but if you have a remote pit, is the crew allowed to work on the car in the remote pit?
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
So,
But what about on course? Is it like pretty much every series where it has to be completed by the driver or co-driver?
nothing like that. And, kind of, lack for a better term, kind of showing my ass here, but a lot of it is reading the rule book, right? And understanding all that good stuff. What I joke about is in the main pit, you have, and this is all relevant, you have your cold pit, which anyone could be in, and you have your hot pit. And hot pit, that's for banded crew members, sign the liability, get the t-shirt, all this stuff. You can't cross this certain line, and you have to have high vis vests on, which is why all this photos I had high vis on, because that's the rule. That's if you're going to be out in the hot pit. So all of that to say, we're laughing because you can cold pit or you can remote pit anywhere on the course. Only rule is it has to be mobile. So that means you can't have a trailer sitting out there with your pressure pro and all this stuff. It's a mobile pit. So it's a spirit of the rule. It's, hey, you better be able to unload your truck and pack it up by yourself. It's a, how do you navigate that? How do you whatever? Because they're not signed and banded to any certain race car. So what makes them a spectator as opposed to someone who's helping all this stuff? So anyway, it's basically no holds bar, 150 feet from the race course, has to be mobile pit. But I'm thinking about all these procedures and things that we follow in the main pit for very good safety reasons. And I go, but if you go 300 feet that way, or you go 300 feet that way, all of that goes out the window because now you're a remote pit. So I don't know. I mean, it's just, it's something to think about. And then in order to actually sign up for the series and go run your car, it's a great safety thing, but you have to have a pit boss, and the pit boss cannot leave the pits while your car is out on the race course. And so that was my job. So I think that's one way they keep it from having one friend with a pickup truck out in the boonies is your only pits. So I think that's kind of one way that they sort of control the chaos of that. Sure. But the nice thing is it's not, being grassroots racing, you have a little bit more freedom. Right. And that's to say, that's not bringing down other series. That's saying the good side of this is, hey, we can remote pit kind of anywhere we want or need to. And we don't have too many rules to follow, which is great. It's it's pros and cons. It's when you're doing the big time stuff, you're doing the big time stuff. But when you're doing the grassroots stuff, that's got its own issues. But they're not going to hold the candle to you for having a spare tire out in the middle of nowhere for you. So,
well, and there's also something to be said for the spirit of the rules and the spirit of the competition and respect for the grassroots series, right? So
absolutely. Yeah. So the nice thing is you can kind of have anyone anywhere, just got to stay 150 feet off the race course. Right. So, and that's whether you're spectating or remote pitting anyway.
Gotcha.
But yeah, to bring it back up to speed to that lap 3.
Yeah.
We could hear that the car was kind of maybe trying to radio in to our hot pit, but we couldn't really tell. All we heard was copy. And I looked at Jack, who was probably 50 feet away in the cold pit, kind of looking at each other like, was that our guy? I can't really tell. Well, next thing the car comes in. And so I jump off the trailer with no context, no nothing. And I just stick my face in the quote unquote windshield in the A-frame. I go, what's up? He goes, hey, it's cutting out at top end. And he goes, change the coil. Great. Well, guess what? And one of the things we figured out looking at this car was that it already had a spare coil right next to the main coil, which is like a classic Volkswagen trick. But thank God this car had it. I mean, it's to the point where even on my street car, you kind of carry one with you just because it's a coil and could be the difference between you getting home or not. So
right.
So man, main plug and then the 2 small plugs, bam, 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 fire up the car. No, it wouldn't start. Okay. I switched 2 more wires around and the car fired right up. and he was in another pit. I mean, we could watch the GoPro footage, and I would hope it was under 2 minutes by the time I got everything squared away. Um, but we after that had no radio communication until the end of the last lap, where I knew I could physically reach him on the radio, and I just said, 1608, how's it feel? He goes, same but drivable. Okay, so we didn't fix the issue, but it's not worse. No problem. So finished the day off, and man, once again got a 7th. So if you think of this like a motocross scoring, we went 7-7 for 6th overall. With it wasn't even the coil was the issue. So it could be a carb. It's a Volkswagen. They load up. Could be spark plug. Could be wires. But just for our on-the-fly fix, didn't change anything, but didn't make anything worse. So, yeah, to kind of land this plane, 7-7 for a 6th place overall for the weekend, and we finished all the laps. So there's a check in the mail, and help us get to the next one. And then also, man, shout out to PCI Race Radios for us lonely little team getting 6th in the 1600 class. Got couple brand new PCI handhelds. So thank you very much to our friends at PCI Race Radios.
Oh, that's cool. That's really good. And I'm a big fan of the PCI. Having used pretty much everything out there. In a lot of situations, the PCI does a really good job.
Fantastic support.
And when they're supported and nice people. So that's awesome that they helped you out some. And I mean, come on, that's like basically top 35% of the class on a virgin run. So and no complaints there. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, man, that's really impressive. I was going to ask you if you ever figured out what it was, but apparently not yet. So
not yet. And to do it the right way, I mean, yeah, of course we can go run it around the shop and go run it down the street, but if we had time, it's a really quick turnaround. It's 5 weeks, 4.5 weeks now until the start of 2026 season. So the right way to do it would be go run that car up in the high desert, or bring 6 million spark plugs, change the gaps, mess with some wires and stuff, and see if we can't sort it. But yeah, so yeah, we didn't fix the issue. The issue wasn't debilitating, but we just know that it's currently not right. So
yeah.
Got time before the next one, but not a lot of time.
But everything you did, from finding the loose jam nut to a nut and bolt, which I guess probably a lot of people don't know what a nut and bolt is. Nut and bolt is basically you take your wrenches and your sockets and you go through every nut and bolt on the car that you can see, inspect for anything shiny around it, rust around it, which you're probably not going to have out there in the desert, but also any signs of wear, and check the tightness. And I don't, on a car like that, it probably doesn't take very long because it's they're not super hyper complex,
Not at all. And that's the beauty of that car too. For me, that's what's great about that car. Everything's there. Everything's in front of my face.
Well, and Lance and the team, kudos to them for bringing you in because of your extensive background and knowledge with the Volkswagens and Volkswagen Power and Desert. I mean, you've got, I would say that in a lot of cases, you're probably ahead of some of the other crew chiefs because you have the motorcycle background in the desert, which allows you to read the course overview probably a little better than a lot of guys.
See, and to take this off of me and to give all the glory to Lance on this, like I said, he's even a much more accomplished, much faster motorcycle racer than I ever was. And so even when you watch his GoPro footage, how he reads things, and it might be a little easier kind of for us to tell who've been so nerdy about it for so long, but he drives it like a motorcycle. And I know that sounds stupid or odd. He doesn't drive it like a car. Driving it like a car means you're you're stuck in this thing and you just go with the groove. He's got 4 inches of travel to figure out what the hell to do with. So just like a motorcycle, he's going to go around the rain ruts. He's not going to go in the berm. He's going to cut through stuff. He's going to be a lot smarter. And you can, once again, to give all the glory to Lance, the fact that I can see what he's doing means he's doing an incredible job. And not to besmirch, and not that I saw one particular car do that, but it's like, dude, here's an example. Freaking, every single class is running the exact same last corner for both days. All good. Yeah. One guy took an alternate line, and after our race on Saturday, I showed Lance this line. I go, look at this right here. I go, can you get to this? He goes, yeah, it's not a problem. He brought so much more mile an hour up pit road on Sunday doing one line difference that the pit next to us went, holy bleep, he had a lot of speed. I go, yeah, I showed him that line. So I mean, it was noticeable that strangers saw it. And I'm like, thank you. This is how we need to approach this next year, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I've done my fair share of driver coaching, and although your driver is experienced, there's always stuff like that you're going to see. I've worked with great drivers, incredibly talented drivers, that you put them behind the wheel and they're just fast, no matter what you put them in, right? But then you're like, hey, I think there's a little more speed right here. And they start hitting it, and it's like, oh, we just picked up half a second, or, you know, in our case, a tenth or 2/10. But yeah, no, in the video that you sent me from the YouTube, that's one thing that I noticed right away was how he avoided like rain ruts and the dugout ruts, because car doesn't have a shitload of ground clearance, and it has almost no suspension. You know, he's probably got more suspension in his butt cheeks than you do in the shocks.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's the truth. And so, you know, the way he drove a lot of that stuff, like there was a lot of stuff where it was double rutted really bad.
Yeah, that was nasty.
And to watch him straddle it and pick the spot where, you know, we're gonna hang the right front up on the right side of this rut going into the left-hand corner, and you're like, yeah, there's not a lot of room there, but he picked the line right, and he hit it. And so there's a lot to be said for that, for sure. But also on the other side, as you're looking at stuff going, hey, there's time to be had here, kudos to you for doing it. I mean, granted, it's your job, but you're like, I don't want to be a dick the first race, right?
Well, no. And then like, I need to approach this so humbly too, to where when I physically showed him, we walked down to it, that's how close it was to our pits. I go, hey, I don't know how hard it is to get over to this lane, but if you can, and I'm trying to approach it like that, where I go, it's not my ass in the car. I've never driven 500 feet in this thing. I don't know how hard it is to get over there. And when you're at race pace and your eyes have been jostling at 50 miles an hour for 3 hours, yeah, you're probably going to miss it. But if you hit it, I think this is a great idea. So just, you know, trying to not step on his toes, but also I'm like, hey, like, you know, we can try it. And if it doesn't work, guess what? We got 80 miles to go. We can do it the other way. So
yeah. Well, and to you guys' credit, basically they ran one more lap, which the course was just over a mile longer the second day, right?
15 miles as opposed to 14.
Yeah. So, and they run one more lap.
Yep.
So you ran an extra, let me see, 15 and 5, 20 miles compared to the day before.
Yep.
Which doesn't sound like much, but the point that I'm getting to is you ran another 20 miles, but his lap times were almost the same from what I saw as they were on the 14-mile track the day before.
I know
So
that 18-minute mark is just like burned in my head because that's all I
yeah,
saw all week,
that's exactly it. But when you look at it, when you put it in perspective, you're like, okay, yeah, we ran 18-minute laps all weekend, both days. That's really cool, super consistent. But then break it down. Oh, we ran 18-minute laps the first day on whatever, 13, 14 miles. We ran 18-minute laps on 15 or 16 miles the second day. So, perspective wise, oh, well, it's 18-minute laps all weekend, but you're much faster the second day than you were the first day. So to improve, and honestly, from what I was watching, the top 4 or 5 guys that ran together uh,
Fast.
ran faster the second day also. Running a mile longer. So, part of that's the track, obviously, or the course. But also like you gotta have a huevos to hang it out when it's the last race of the season for those guys, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly. For
kudos to
them.
them
Yeah.
also. They put
Boy,
on a
was that
good,
exciting to watch. Man,
I
oh man.
bet.
I wish you could have been right there because desert racing is not normally that close. It's normally you're doing the math in the pits to try to figure out how close it is. Not physically seeing 4 guys come over the same hill at the same time. Like, oh my Lord, this is gonna end great for somebody and maybe not so great for somebody else at some point. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think on the first day, the guy that finished first finished physically second,
He did. Yep. Yeah,
but
good
he
memory.
got up behind the guy that finished first, and all he had to do was ride back there within 10 seconds because I think it was a 15-second gap
It was,
start.
yep.
Yeah,
Man, yeah.
so
Your
so
memories.
all he had to do was ride within 10 seconds of the guy and
And he
keep
knew
him
it.
in sight,
Yep.
and he was going to win that day. So that's pretty rad
Yeah, it's
and
pretty exciting when
and smart.
when the first person crossing the line isn't the winner. You know what I mean? That's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
Um,
but it's within 15 seconds. I mean,
Nuts.
that's yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was That was. Obviously I'm biased, and I was also very distracted. But I guess I would have liked to also seen that race with no skin in the game, just for the pure
Right.
entertainment fact of it. Because it's like out of my one eye, I'm watching the coolest battle I've ever seen at M.O.R.E. At the other side of things, like I got pretty big responsibilities to make sure this race car makes it around, quite a
Yeah.
few miles here. But man, what a cool class, and that really ends it for the weekend for me. And I know we're getting close on time,
Yep.
but the last thing that I want to say, and there is no answer to this, but where I'm at with this program right now is I don't know what realistic pace is for us. I don't know how fast we can get this car to go. And I also don't know what our next year objective is. And what I mean by all that is, like, as this car comes out of the box and we haven't changed any clickers and we've just done what we've done,
Right.
how close to the potential are we with this car? How far off are we? Because if the driver did that good with this first race, that gives me a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
Now the flip side of things is those 4 guys that we were watching battling in the top 2 positions, we'll call it. I've seen all of those cars out there at least the last 5 years.
Right.
So how much of that is these guys doing the same courses, knowing these corners, knowing their car? Um, we'll call it a somewhat of a spec class, but I'm like, I have more questions now than I did before last weekend, because I'm like, I don't know where we're at, besides you're only as good as your last race,
Right.
but I don't know. I don't know what's realistic. So it's just going to be a learning year for me next year.
Yeah, no, that's rad. And how exciting though, because I mean, like you said, not touch any clickers on the shocks, ride height, none of that. And no engine work, no tweaking.
Screwed with tire pressure.
Um,
That was it.
and, you finished ahead of mid-pack,
It's great. It's,
so, I mean, the future is bright for sure. And, you know, I think that there's obviously more left in the car, but it'll be interesting, like you said, to see how much more. So it's pretty exciting.
yeah. I mean, I'm trying not to put the cart before the horse, but I mean, you just sort of look at what the other guys who are going so fast got going on, and it's like, okay, well, they're a lot newer chassis, and these guys have been doing it a while. But at the same time, at the end of the day, you got to have a 1600 cc Volkswagen and a 4-speed transmission and 0 inches of travel. So it's
Right.
how creative. I can't call it a spec class because I think spec is a lot more strict. But I mean, there's rules we got to follow, and
Sure.
yeah, I'm just so curious now to see what happens with this pro. I don't see us doing worse. I mean, obviously we're going to have, it's desert racing. There is going to be issues. It's why it's a
Sure.
sport. But
Yeah.
other than that, it's like, well, if we're here not really knowing what we're getting into, it'll be exciting once we start getting our feet wet into this. Because
Yeah, for sure.
I'm certainly not ready to say I'm tenured yet, and maybe even
Right.
after next year I might still feel like the new guy. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, that's rad, dude. I'm excited. It was exciting for me to follow it. I didn't get to follow the live stream on Sunday. But I was definitely there in scoring and timing for sure.
Yeah,
So,
no, and I
um,
I say this dead serious, Lauren. You helped me a bunch just with the photos, the timing, everything. I mean, you were doing it because you love the game,
yeah,
but it did help me a lot. So I want
I
to
was actually
personally
wishing.
thank you. Yeah,
Oh yeah, for sure. I was actually wishing I was out there because I'd love to get out there and crew for you.
man. Yeah,
Uh,
well, no, pick your brain. You've been doing a lot longer than I have. So
it'd be
yeah,
Yeah, but I don't have any desert. Well, very little.
not none. Certainly
Not
not
none.
none.
I guess I can't say none.
Hey, we're not in Vegas. We're not Vegas to Reno like you big money guys. All right. So.
Yeah, no, that's rad. And you know, maybe at some point we have to look at a way to get us into something like that for a one-time shot. And I've talked to some of our partners about it and some of our friends about it, and we'll see what happens. So,
Yep, open face helmets and a cooler in the back. Let's go.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
sure. Why not?
Yeah, sure. My face is too pretty for an open face helmet anymore.
Oh, that sucks. What's that like? Oh, but
So,
man, yeah. Thank you for letting me share my race story. But yeah,
yeah, dude,
I think
that's exciting.
I think it's a good place to land the plane for this
Yeah, for
weekend. And
sure.
5 weeks to turn it, 4.5 weeks to turn it around now. So as we were packing up, it was almost laughing like, oh, we should just leave our stuff here. We're going to be right back. So.
Yeah. By the time this comes out, I should be done with the Boise AMA FIM North American Kicker Arena Cross Championships.
Yes, sir.
And we'll have spent the weekend there in Boise and got to see our good buddy Kane, Kane Smead
Nice.
at Off-Road Adventures by Kane. That's not uh, what is it? I can't remember now. Anyway, yeah, and my good friends from Soundhounds up there. Looking forward to seeing those guys, and of course all the Arena Cross family and man, just working on schedule. Been with JW talking about schedules and got a couple other cool things in the pipe coming up that I'll let people in on as they actually happen. But stay tuned. We got exciting things coming with that. Man, we got to be sure and thank our incredible partners and sponsors, Kicker Performance Audio, Kicker Off-Road Audio, Kicker Motorcycle Audio, Kicker Marine Audio, Kicker Badass Audio. Find them, kicker.com, on Instagram at Kicker Audio, Facebook Kicker, YouTube at Kicker Audio, and every other Tuesday night live for their Kicker Unmasked live TV show, 7:30 Central. Of course, Assault Industries, Assault UTV, for all your premium off-road accessories and needs. Everything from gear to tools. Cole, experience the tools.
Oh, yeah.
To whatever you need for your side-by-side, your UTV, your ATV, and your desert rig. Find them online, Assault IND, assaultend.com, on Instagram at Assault UTV, and on Facebook, Assault Industries. Of course, Bomber Safety Eyewear, Bomber Floating Eyewear, Bomber Almost Indestructible Eyewear. Almost, because they are we didn't even go into the fact that Cole's brand new bombers, in all of his melee in the pits and hustle, did their job, protected him.
Yes.
But will be replaced soon.
Human error. They held up a lot bigger fight than anybody else would have. Let me give you that.
Yeah. So you can find those at bombereyewear.com, on Instagram, Bomber Eyewear, or Facebook, Bomber Eyewear. And be sure, when you hit their cart with your load, be sure and use the code MAddOG20, MAddOG20. Save yourself a little scratch. It's Christmas. Hook everybody up. They're inexpensive and they're badass. Of course, Shutter and Whirl Media for all your photography and videography needs, from still photography to full video production, pre-production planning, all the way through post-production. Shutter and Whirl has you covered. Hey Geeks Marketing for all your website and social media needs. You can find her on Instagram at Hey Geeks Marketing, or Hey Geeks. No, actually find her on the web, heygeeks.com. And of course, as always, my man Cole,
Hi.
my crew chief, keeps me going. All the work he does behind the scenes for MAddOG'S After Show, we're so grateful for. With that, Cole, do the speech.
Make sure to rate, review, subscribe on your favorite streaming platform.
Beautiful. Extra special shout out to my good friends over at Rye Helmets. I am loving that new Rye Street helmet.
So sick.
Dude, it's so comfortable. Anyway, we'll get into that in another episode. With that, I want to say thank you, and God bless you, our fans. God bless our first responders. God bless our military. God bless our veterans. God bless America. MAddOG out.